In this video, we're going to talk about saving lists of data. So we've been working with lists for a little while now, and a couple ways you can extract data from a list is there's actually a couple ways of working with data in a list. That's write lines to write the data and read lines to read the data. And here's a simple example. So I'm going to go through and put an ID and name together in a list, and if I print it out, of course it does print, but it does so with the square brackets, it does so with the comma, it also includes quotes around the values, and so on. Now, this is because the developer who created the list class, when they made the string function, they decided to print it out this way. And when you call print, it's designed to automatically call this. So since it automatically calls the string method if it exists, it prints out as the developer who made the list class wanted it to, which is fine. It's just maybe not the way you want it to. Now if I go through and I open up the file and I use write lines, it will write it into the file. Let's see. I think I messed this up a little bit. Let me take this out so we're working with customers text. Okay, go back here and try again. Okay, it will write it quite simply as it just dumps out the data. There's no comma in between. It just takes the data and it tosses it into the file. It did keep our space there, but space is a legal character. If you hit the keyboard and you get something, even if you can't see it, it's still a character. So that may not be as satisfying as you want. And when you read the data back, it does pull it back, but you've lost the ability for it to be two elements. It reads it back as a single element. So it's not very satisfactory. It does work, but it's not exactly what you'd want to do. So we need to kind of look at other ways of doing it. And that usually involves going through and instead of just writing the lines, dumping everything into the file, we go through and write exactly what we want. So it'd be something like this. And if I want a comma there, I need to put it in. Now let's take a look at that. You see this time I got the 1, I got a comma, Bob Smith. Looks like I need to put a carriage return in there, so I'll do that too. So now we see the carriage return is being added, so it shows up on the next line. So it's not difficult to do, but it may not be obvious at first. Reading is going to be the same kind of thing. Yes, you can read everything from the file all at once, and when you do, though, you may have to go through and do some cleanup work of some type. So read lines will work, but it won't give you back. It does give you back a list of values, but then you'd have to go through and kind of clean it up. Now, first of all, let me clear out the file and run this code again so we can see what it looks like when it's written correctly. So it is coming back as a single unit, a single element, and I want that to change. So I don't think write lines is really going to do it. Read lines is really going to do what I want. I use read line, read a line, and see what that looks like. Now it's looking a whole lot better. Of course, it works as a cursor, so if I want to read the next line, I have to keep going through the file. So for row in OJ file, oh, I didn't advance it. Let's see here. I think I've got this wrong. Let's see. Actually, Python automatically does the reading for you in this case. So all I have to do is do row. Okay, there's only one in there now. Now there's two, and so it prints out twice. And now I stripped off the extra carriage return at the end, the new line. And so it's going through and printing out just my values. And if I want to create it as a list of values, I could go through and easily make a tuple with that. But more than likely, if I want to read this, it's just a matter now of going through and creating a list from that. And I can do that with split. Split it on the comma. Okay, let's try again. Uh-oh. Forgot to strip it first and then split on the comma. Much better. So I clear off the carriage return, then I take it and split. Split actually returns a returns a list object based on whatever character you're splitting it on. Strip returns a string, so it will return the string first, then split it. I get my list and print it out. So you can use the write lines, you can use read lines but as you can see, with a little extra work, it can be a lot better. And think of it as the developer of those particular commands, they just made it quite simple. It just does a simple thing. It didn't necessarily mean that was the best way for you to get the data, any more than the internal string method of the list class is necessarily the best way to display the data. It's just a way. If you don't like the way the automation piece works, just make your own code. Okay, next on the list, we're going to take a look at working with object data. See you there.